On this episode of Whiskerman's podcast, Beards and Business, in the Beards section, we break down Season 11, Episode 3. While over in the Business section, we have a special guest from Season 11, Aaron, with Sapphire Partners.
What is up, guys? Welcome to the Beards section of Beards and Business. We've got a breakdown of Episode 3, Season 11 of the blocks. So let's just dive right into it. And then we've got a special guest also on Season 11 with me. We'll get into that here momentarily. But so the show starts off where Episode 2 ended. We get to see who the winners are of Day 1. So we're still in Day 1. We get to see who all goes up on stage, and we have our first blocks off. So the blocks off was just as difficult as the day was. Another pop quiz and some questions, some really tough questions. Everybody who was on stage handled themselves very well, performed exceptionally, so the judges had a tough time. The other part of the inside of this, each one of the contestants who was on stage, they highlighted their story. One that stands out in particular, as I've said on the last 3 shows now, was Melanie with Belly Bug. Hearing the story of her sister and keeping her sister's name in folks' mouths, because she'll always be remembered, and just carrying that on was touching to see her vignette of her story and stuff. So that was really cool. And then seeing some of the other contestants was really awesome. It was a chance to relive who they were. So that was really cool to see who the 7 folks were that were up on stage. Really tough competition. Was not surprised because she did handle herself so well. Melanie won the first night of the blocks off, and she did. She just handled herself. The questions were just answered, boom, 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 boom. And if you guys hopefully get a chance to meet her or interact with her, this is her in real life, folks. She just is very classy, as one of the judges said, very well put together, very articulate. She's just driven. I have no doubt that her company is going to take off and explode and do amazing things and help so many folks that are in wheelchair ridden, and then I'm sure there's even more applicability that will come out of that young lady's brain. She's just an amazing person. I'm so blessed to have known her, and hopefully we can get her some resources and grow that business, because it's amazing. So after the blocks off, they announced the winner. Immediately following the night, certain folks, because obviously they're one and small and intimate, so not everybody could go to these on every single night, but you were invited to a special sitting to interact with one of the judges or Wes. I was not selected that night. I did get to sit down night 2, so on the next episode I would be sitting with a judge having some conversation at this point. We'll get into that in the next episode of it did not air, but there was some of it, I'll talk about it. So seeing how they were interacting in that, getting to know a little bit more of the personal stuff behind these great businessmen and women, that was pretty cool. From there, we then transition into morning 2. Morning 2, a little bit different. You come down to breakfast, you've kind of already established your people, you've got your tribe. Kind of know who you're looking for to continue conversations from day 1. You know who you want to talk to. You kind of start building your group of folks that you want to hang out with. Have breakfast, have some good conversation. Continued just great conversation throughout the week at breakfast, lunch, dinner, just constant. So what was cool was the 7 that go on stage get to have more one-on-one time with the judges. They get to have breakfast, and then after breakfast, they get to have 2-on-1 kind of question and answer, kind of picking their brain for a little bit before you get into the day. Then you get into the day, Wes is talking customer acquisition, I remember this one very, very vividly. This was a really one that I thought I did out of all of the five. I thought I did very well. Um, we get into our pods on day two. Really haven't gotten into that on the episode. I think more in episode four they'll carry into that. But I remember I was really excited for this day because I was in Lily's pod, and I know that she is a Barbara. She will be on a show not soon, very, very soon. We have our interview recorded, edit, ready to rock and roll. It's in the queue, so we will have her on. But I was excited because I was able to get someone who's kind of in the industry, especially when I'm talking about the customer. But it's funny because I had back-to-back women, and I figured, okay, I'm just gonna, that's Wes's thing, put the bearded dude with the ladies. So it was funny, but some great conversation in there, and awesome. So, but now I want to turn it over to our business section. Folks, this was pre-recorded not too long ago, but also on season 11. We will go ahead and turn it over to that pre-recording right now. Beards in Business. You guessed it already. Most of you are sitting at home. You've got you're about to hit the bingo card. We've got another Bloxer from season 11, filmed with me. Hopefully we can't talk too much more about it, but a very special guest. So why don't you introduce yourself and go right into what it is that you do?
All righty. Well, John, Erin Anatavi, and business is Sapphire Partners. We're based here in Seattle, Washington. We provide strategic executive support, fractional chiefs of staff for visionaries, creative people, entrepreneurs, founders, just about anybody who has something that they're bringing to the world that the day-to-day operations administration gets a little bit too much, and can prevent those amazing things from happening that they see in their minds. They're like, oh my gosh, I want to build this, or I want to create that, or I want to start this. And it's just that, that day-to-day that just pulls you back.
Yeah, so
It's all for all that.
something that's needed of when we're starting out small businesses, you've got every hat possible. You're the CEO, you're the CFO, you're the janitor, you're everything. So what you do is you kind of help alleviate some of those hats while them still maintaining control in essence.
Yes, you got it. You do wear a lot of hats, especially in the early days when companies are getting off the ground. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. And if you start dropping balls throughout that process, right, you can lose clients, you can lose staff, you can slow down what it is that you're building. Having someone who really, administration it's kind of an underrated thing, right? Because it's the key thing. If you don't have a solid administrative plan for your company, it impacts everything down the line. And when we're building something from scratch, that's usually the first thing that we set on the table when we're going to build something, right? It's like, oh, new clients, new this, new that. But you have to have all those processes. You have to have all that stuff really tight in order to make the things that you want happen smooth and fast and all of that.
Yeah, so I like to break things down as I call it Barney style. So I'm very simple. So let me, I can if this hits, if it's not, correct me.
Yeah.
So I'm a circus guy, and I just used this with a friend of mine earlier today. I'm the dude out there spinning the plates. Eventually, the plates are going to start slowing down. If I have my hands full, things are going to crash and the business is going to go up. So where you would come in with support is you'd be the person that would come in and either replace a plate or keep the plate spinning to where
That's awesome.
Is that fairly accurate?
Yep, that's fantastic. Yes.
Down nice and small. So why this? I know we had some conversations when we were out in Tulsa.
Yep.
You're a very intelligent. You could have done probably 100,000 other different things. So why did you pick this to go into as a business to support other businesses?
Oh goodness, I've been doing operations and administration since I was like 12. I was the neighborhood egg lady because my mom had a ton of chickens, and so I would go every week and sell eggs to my neighbors. Um, so I learned early, very, very early about how to plan time and product essentially. And then that just led into all kinds of other things. Uh, Co-founded my first company when I was 16, and then we sold that when I was 19. And then started another one at that point, and it's just kind of been this real steady progression, understanding all the back end. Um, the first business book I ever read was E-Myth when I was 16. And so that was kind of the foundation of, oh, okay, all right, you have to make it possible to grow, right? It's this franchise mindset of if it works for 10 people, does it also work for 10,000 people? And so I fell in love with administration. And yeah, one thing led to another. So it's my initials, EA, executive assistant. So I'm like, I was definitely born for this. So
And it's
yeah.
pretty to go a little bit off of away from the business side of things. So tie it in here in a second. Right now you're in Seattle, Washington.
Mhm.
Fun fact that a lot of people don't know is Seattle, Washington, and Dayton, Ohio get about the same amount of days that are gloomy and rainy. Uh,
Nice.
so that fun little fact. And then another cool thing that I think is really, I'm very simple. I like to break things down. Last time we had chat via Zoom, you were sitting in a state that I really want to visit soon, because my best friend's there. You were in Hawaii last time we talked, and
That's
I
right.
noticed still kind of in Hawaii-ish with the paintings and kind of the feel and vibe that you have. So I want to try to tie those two back together.
Oh man. All right. Tricky. Well, I definitely have a vibe. I like the quirky things. I like shiny things. I like colorful things. Um, Sapphire is captures a lot with the blues and with the gemstones and the whole concept of tying things that don't necessarily go together, a mosaic, right? When you look at a stained glass mosaic, you have just a bunch of random pieces, and yet when you put it all together, it works somehow, right? It works. Um, so yeah, so I surround myself with the things that make me happy.
Okay,
My mom actually did the paintings behind me.
awesome.
Um, Quite a few years ago, and so they've been just following me around, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, this works for my space. I like it." Yeah.
So going back to, I told you I would tie in also.
Yeah.
So you're in Seattle, Washington. So I'm assuming that you have a presence outside of just Seattle. So if someone was on here and like, hey, you know what, I could really use that type of service, where can folks find you?
So our website. I do love our website. Was designed by one of our sapphires. So internally, everybody we call ourselves sapphires. The other thing that we also call ourselves are alchemists, because like we take things and make magic out of it. And so our website was designed by one of our sapphires. Did a fantastic job. And then I'm also on LinkedIn quite a bit, and all the main social media platforms, and then email is always good too.
All right, we'll drop all that at the end of the show so folks can reach out to you. Huh.
Yeah.
So really, those are my formal questions of the business. Now I'm going to get into some deep questions here. So, for me, the thing that keeps me going, besides my faith, family, and all that stuff, the one thing that keeps feeding me to move forward in business is I can't listen to enough audiobooks. Um, it's such whoever came up with audiobooks is a genius because I can't necessarily be working and reading at the same time, but I can listen to an audiobook. So for me, it's audiobooks, and there are so many out there. What is it that kind of feeds your soul and keeps you going and moving forward day to day?
Oh, I love audiobooks too. And yeah, been doing a lot of those. I have a library app that is pretty darn cool. And anytime anyone is like, oh, hey, you should check this book out, right? I'll add it to my app. And then if I really love it, then I'll go and I'll actually buy the book or like add it to my permanent library. So love the audiobooks. And then for me, I think I really enjoy the stories of the leaders that we work with and the leaders that are in my network. I love to hear what things are, what are people creating? And so those conversations with visionaries are just like they're the best. At getting to learn about things that I didn't know existed or businesses that people have created. And I'm like, I had no idea that was a thing. Um, so that's my favorite thing, or just those conversations with brilliant people.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I'm gonna add a question on top of that. What is one audio or a physical book that you'd be like, hey, this would be the one I would recommend to folks, like you got to listen to or read?
Oh, how to boil it down. Well, E-Myth is pretty solid. That one is, about process and creating consistency, which is a lot easier said than done. But let's see here. Um, there's one, The Dichotomy of Leadership. That one is very, very good. And then I just finished Sun Tzu's Art of War, which that was kind of wild. So like, wait a minute, what it's like, why am I reading this book? And I started just replacing terminology in there. It's like anytime they would talk about like the battlefield, whatever, I would be like, oh well, that's opportunities, or that's this kinds of things, or your troops and the warriors. And I'm like, well, that's your employees and the people that you're working with. And so there was just a lot of very interesting crossover that I enjoyed interpreting while I was listening to this just very old text, right? You're just like, oh, it's just so cool. So that was most recent. But then yeah, a lot of books on leadership and how to take care of your people and how to lead with conscientiousness, I suppose.
Yeah. So question, did you, so Dichotomy of Leadership, Jocko Wilkins, right?
Yes,
Did
so good.
did you listen to that before Art of War or after?
Before,
Okay.
before,
Which
yes.
is a great way because Jocko breaks things down from, he's got such an amazing mind of one of the leaders in the battle, helped shape Iraq, the Battle of Ramadi, all that stuff, just really a patriot American. But he can take those Navy SEAL tactics and everything, and he translates it to business, which
Isn't it
would help.
magnificent? Oh,
Yeah,
it's so good. Yes, so good.
man is amazing. Which
Yeah.
probably, had you done it the other way, you probably would have never looked, because the Art of War is a hard piece of to digest, especially if you don't have that connection of, okay, I need to replace war with, putting into the business sense. And I know Jocko does that so amazingly.
He does. You know what? You're totally spot on that, because I bet that is, yes, that's probably why I interpreted it the way that I did. Because some of those stories, right, in that book were so powerful, the dichotomy of leadership. Because when you're dealing with something that is legitimately life and death, right? And then you have to apply that to business, right? It's like, wait a minute, how can the two even be, how can you even compare both of these things? Um, but yeah, they do it just seamlessly.
Yeah.
Yes.
The good thing about Jocko is you can put his audios on about 2.5 and still be able to hear, because he is very concise with what he's saying, but he takes his time to make sure that it is. So I think most of his, I think I've read 3 of his books, 2.5 ish. You kind of, he's talking at a normal speed because he does kind of deliver that and gives you that absorption.
Oh,
Uh,
I did the same thing, and then I had to back Sun Tzu down to 1, like the actual, because it was each sentence. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, wait, go back. What was that again? And then I finally had to just slow it down because normally I do the 2x. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Art of War was one of his main staples that he studied from. So that's pretty cool, the contrast of how they both tie in. So
Yeah.
now one of my favorite questions to ask is, so we're sitting in 2024. If you could, I just saw the share play. Those of you that are watching, feel free to judge me openly, drop comments, but it's an amazing play. If you could, you don't have to wear the outfit, you don't have to go on a Navy ship, but you could stop time and go back to whatever date you wanted to, what would you tell your younger self that either a life trajectory change or a business trajectory? What would be the thing that you would go back and tell the younger you?
Yeah. I've thought a lot about this because I collect 20-year-olds or like young adults. I bring them in. I'm kind of like clan mom, and so I'm often giving advice to younger folks, just like, hey, make sure you do your budget, make sure you understand finances, make sure that you pay attention to the people around you, make sure like all of these different things. And so I've thought about, okay, what would I do? And uh where I'm at right now, aside from just minor little changes, I'm pretty darn happy with where things ended up. And so I think the only thing I would say to my younger self is, it's okay, you did it, or you're in the process of doing it. That you've achieved the things that you set out to achieve. You're on the right track. Um, because those moments, right, where you're just like, what am I doing? Is this even good? Does this even matter? Is it even going to do what I think it's going to do? Just those. There was one day I came back home and it was like the worst day ever. And I turned on the light switch. At the end of the day, it's 11 o'clock, an awful day. Flip the light switch and the light bulb explodes. It was like, just like, I'm like, why? This is just the worst thing ever. And so in those moments, it's like, no, just stay focused because you're gonna get there. It's gonna do what you think it's gonna do. And so that's probably what I would say.
Yeah. So far, no one said I'd go back and tell myself to buy stock and whatever. Uh,
I mean, that too, maybe. I mean, that's kind of a cheat code, but
invest in Facebook or Meta or whatever it's called.
yeah.
Yeah, buy stock in that. Like so. Well, that has all the questions. So my one of my favorite parts because I never know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
Let's open it up for whatever you want to talk about. Um,
Mhm.
the floor is yours, and we will go where you want to venture to.
But, well, as far as like beards and the product and all of the things that you have, I meet with a lot of individuals, and you can tell, right? When someone has a beard and you're like, you know what? You actually take really good care of that. Like, it's noticeable. um, and as much as possible, I do try to say something. I do try to point it out because I know that there is a significant amount of care that goes into that. And more people should. More people should. I kind of have a little bit of a Victorian side to me. I love the etiquette. I love the style. I used to be really big into steampunk and like corsetry and top hats and suits and like all of that fun stuff. And people took a lot of care in that time period with like just personal grooming. Um, and so I like that. Um, and I think that I think that more people should pay attention to those kinds of things.
Yeah, it's you brought up some really great points there. It's a way for, women can go and do their makeup based off of their mood, and depending on the day, it can change. You can express happiness based off of, what lipstick you put on, how you do your eyeshadow and stuff. A man can do the same based off of their beard. So like, if you're feeling, want to be old timey, you can do the curls and do the mustache curls and stuff. So it's almost a canvas. That's why I love beard competitions. You get to see the creativity really shine in folks of, when you can put different colors in and make it do different things. It's
Oh,
really
it's so fun. Is it some of the pictures that come out of that? Oh my gosh. Yes.
conversation starter. And that's amazing. So that's a really great point that I think a lot of people will overlook when they see a man with a beard. So next time you're out there, if you're watching, you see someone with a beard, compliment them on it. You see a lady with beautiful makeup, compliment them on it, because that means they're trying to show the artistic side of them. So it's one of those things that can go a long way.
I agree. Yes. Yeah, it's good stuff. And then sometimes it's fun, like when you said the colors, that a lot of people do, like I think they shy away from that because it feels like, oh, too feminine or too playful. But when you like color, like I love color, obviously, I love to surround myself with color. But there's, if we color our hair, any blues and greens, like it used to be, years ago, and I give away my age here, but it used to be that was really unprofessional. Um, and I think what I love about modern business now is, as opposed to, it's kind of this it's a dichotomy, essentially, of like Victorian era, but also playful, and professional has a different viewpoint now than it used to. But then fashion and style, and I don't know, it's kind of a quirky thing. But having that color in there, and not be afraid, like throw a little blue in, put a little green or whatever it is that you feel like, or the beaded, like some of the beaded stuff. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. And then the like braiding that like a lot of the Nordic cultures used to do with like the braided work in there. Oh my gosh, just absolutely fantastic. Like go wild, like do that thing because it's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because as soon as I think of specifically women's hair being like a bright pink, I go back and I'll age myself. I think of Greece when she was doing the beauty school and she accidentally turned her hair into that, I think it was a bright pink. Now it's almost like you see that day to day. So it is great the way that we've kind of looked at be yourself, right? There's a time and a place for everything, but it used to be if you had a beard, you were looked at as a degenerate. Well,
Right.
a category, but it is what it is. But there's a time and a place for everything, and I can tell you that doing those beads and curls and stuff, that's a full-time job right there.
I
Trying to,
know it takes a lot of time. Yeah, I bet.
and I don't
Have,
think
have you ever done the bead work on yours, like the complex stuff?
I have thought about it. Over Christmas, I have done clip-ins.
Uh-huh.
The only reason I haven't gone into like the beads and stuff is because I'd want it to be more semi-permanent to wear for a couple of days. And I don't think my jujitsu partners, as I'm rolling, I don't think they would necessarily care for it. It might give me like the only advantage I have is smashing someone in the face with a, nice little piece of steel. But
That's true. I probably wouldn't feel very good.
next time I'm gonna host a beard competition, I think I am gonna go more of like a Viking style. Try to, so
Well, there's a pretty big Nordic culture here in Seattle. Like Ballard has strong Nordic ties, and there's a lot of stuff that happens here around that. So Seattle would actually be a really good spot if you wanted to ever host a beard competition here. It would be really cool.
yeah, I'm sure it is. So anything else you want to talk about? We're coming up on we're about 20-ish minutes.
That's all. No, this is good. Super fun. Yeah, I mean, when you think of beards and business administration, right? It's like I was telling you earlier. I'm like, I don't know how do you tie those two together? But they go together because people in business, it just works.
That's the beauty of what I'm trying to accomplish with these, with this podcast. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's still kind of early in the afternoon where you're at, and I really appreciate you jumping on and taking the time to educate my audience about what it is that you do, and then having a nice conversation is always good. So I really appreciate it. So for those of you that made it to this part, you're almost to the end. We appreciate it for listening to this part of the Beards in Business. All right, guys, welcome back. What a just an amazing person to talk to. We've had conversations prior to this, just kind of touch points to see, if there's leverage. Obviously, my business doesn't fit the services that are being offered. But we're just looking at, constantly looking at touch points. How if I can't help you, help me, help them, who can we put you to? So it was a really good conversation, really fun and lively. And that's kind of, that's what I'm trying to get. Not every business that I bring on here is something that I personally am going to be able to use. Not every business that comes on here is something that, is driven just by, hey, I use these folks, they're amazing. There's going to be folks on here that I probably may never access their services, but I want you, the audience, to have the ability to know who these people are, and if you needed them, to be able to reach out. So great. I look forward to next week tapping in to another Bloxer from a different season. We're going to jump off of season 11 for this episode coming up, but we will talk to a Bloxer nonetheless, and then we'll break down episode 4. So guys, if you like these, please hit the like, subscribe, drop a comment, thumbs up, share with your friends, continue to watch. That really helps us out. The goal is to get this growing so big and start to monetize off of it so that we can do other things. There's a lot of charity work that we want to do specifically around our veterans, and you can help that by hitting that like, subscribe, and watching. As always, folks, big shout out to our first responders, our military, our veterans. If you can't get behind them, feel free to get in front of them. Until next time.